ToonGrin.com.
So now, I'll turn things over to the officer who cracked the case. Officer Judy Hobbs.
What can you tell us about the animals that went savage?
Well,
Why is this happening?
we still don't know. Are they all different species? Yes. Yes, they are. Thousands of years ago, predators survived through their aggressive hunting instincts. For whatever reason, they seem to be reverting back to their primitive savage ways.
Could it happen again?
It is possible. So we must be vigilant, and we at the ZPD are prepared and are here to protect you.
No one got eaten, Pop-Pop.
Well, foxes are red because they were made by the devil.
Oh, dear. So, tell me about your first day.
Oh, it was really great.
Welcome back to Cartoon Corner, everybody. I'm Whyboy, and wow, that certainly sounded powerful, didn't it? Disney's 2016 hit Zootopia is told not only as a fun buddy cop romp between a capable bunny and a sassy fox, but as a great child-friendly teaching of racial tension, as it puts the mystery setting of little bunny cop teaming up with sly fox to solve a citywide missing persons case through the lens of an us versus them mentality, between the prey majority and the predator minority in this animal society. Now, on paper, this might sound like a perfect parallel to discuss racism to a younger audience. However, I don't think its message is as deep as it wants it to be. More bluntly, I think it fails on its message on racism entirely. I've watched the movie and combed through the deleted content, and it just leaves me needing to ask, could Zootopia be more racist?
Ah, you disgusting bigot! How could you ask for more racism in a wholesome Disney movie? Commenters go and flame his butt. The internet demands it.
Whoa, Vanilla, calm your pants. Before you race to the comments to give your breakdown on Zootopia's racism theming and how I'm a horrible person for doing this video, just hear me out. Yes, there is a clear theming of prejudice throughout the movie. It's woven into almost every scene in the movie. But let's start small, and I assure you, you'll see where I'm coming from. Firstly, what is racism? The basic definition reads, a belief or doctrine that inherent differences among the various human racial groups determine cultural or individual achievement, usually involving the idea that one's own race is superior and has the right to dominate others, or that a particular racial group is inferior to the others. A belief, not fact. A belief that inherent differences make a racial group feel superior or inferior. That is the key to what defines racism. But so what, you might be thinking? Like I just said, we see racism throughout the movie numerous times. From Judy's subconscious fear of Nick the Fox to the raging riots against predators when the racial tensions reach their boiling point. Racism is a key component that makes up the Zootopia narrative.
Go back to the forest, predator!
I'm from the savannah!
But it's so shallow. Why? Because it's a fact, predators ate prey. The movie opens up with a stage play showing irrefutable evidence that predators ate prey. Sure, it's different now, they've evolved to coexist, but this was not some belief that one race was superior to the other. This was actual factual proof that one devoured the other. So any fear the movie tries to bring up treating racism as though it's irrational doesn't work. For example, say you were walking home and were jumped and mugged by a hoodlum of some minority. Despite the fact that you were mugged, it wouldn't be at all logical to then assume everyone of that minority is predisposed to rob people. That is what's called irrational stupidity. But in Zootopia, there are plays that teach our kids that your neighbor's ancestors at one point ate your family. So the fear is not irrational, but influenced by fact. So when it comes to this message on racism being from a misinformed belief, it fails. It's not irrational to be afraid of your lion mayor, not when your world history shows fact that says at one point he did eat you. But my previous example brings up a good segue into another reason that people could form racist ideas, and why Zootopia fumbles it. And that is our own individual experiences. During our lives, our experiences define our various conceptions, including our prejudices. A positive experience with a certain situation can color every future one in a positive atmosphere, while one negative moment can paint everything afterwards in fear and regret, despite logic and reasoning. Now, to a minor degree, the movie does an alright job with prejudice developed by personal experiences. Like, maybe, I don't know, a C+. For example, Judy is attacked by Gideon Grey, a fox, as a kid. This coupled with her parents' own racism towards foxes.
Foxes are the worst.
Actually, your father does have a point there. It's in their biology.
It makes her develop a prejudice towards foxes. She takes one bad experience with an isolated individual and projects it onto every fox. I mean, the only other fox she meets is Nick, but the point is, she takes an isolated incident and imprints it on another individual, even when she herself tries to hold back that prejudice of hers and grow. So when Nick gets upset with her later in the film and bares his teeth to make a point, she gets scared, showing that negative experience with one person had impacted her view. That works as a parallel to real life. Nick, however, is a mixed bag of clever theming and self-sabotage. On one side, you had that as a child, Nick was bullied for being a fox. This impacted him negatively to the point where he closed himself off, as he said in the film.
If the world's only gonna see a fox as shifty and untrustworthy, there's no point in trying to be anything else.
Yeah. Too bad this doesn't work for theming. Narratively, I get that Nick is beaten down by his experience, but having him say this line and admitting to choosing to be a negative stereotype of a fox is a weak point, a glaring one. This was done better in Wreck-It Ralph. In that film, Ralph is perceived as a bad guy because in his game, Fix-It Felix Jr., he is the game's bad guy who destroys the building. However, Ralph is still good-natured, and despite the close-mindedness of the people around him, he stays true to his better nature and at worst has a minor temper. He didn't just give in and wreck everyone's day because that's what was expected of him. By Nick choosing to act like the negative stereotype of a fox, he is completely verifying people's perceived notions of him. Because he's not being treated poorly while still being a good person. He is treated poorly because he's the bad person people perceived him as. But regardless, Nick and Judy's experiences, while arguably wonky, both convey what the movie wanted to, albeit at an only satisfactory level. What isn't satisfactory is that the praise racism makes no sense. Now, the praise racism towards predators makes sense on paper. Who would be overly friendly with the carnivorous race calling itself your neighbor? However, the movie itself struggles with the us versus them concept with some of the antagonist characters. Assistant Mayor Bellwether is actually fine. She probably is the most straightforward character when it comes to the theming. She's a tiny sheep who's treated like crap by her boss Mayor Lionheart and developed a chip on her shoulder towards predators. So she wanted to upset the balance of Zootopia and become mayor so that the prey became the strongest majority. Basically, she wanted to take over the city.
Of course!
So she's fine. But the biggest failing when it comes to the prey comes with Chief Bogo, who seemingly hates Judy.
And finally, our first bunny, Officer Hops. Parking duty. Dismissed.
But the question is, why? From a narrative cliche, it's that Judy needs to be an underdog that overcomes adversity from her grumpy by-the-book superior. So Bogo is an obstacle for her to overcome because she is the first rabbit in Zootopia history to be a cop as part of Mayor Lionheart's new political platform.
My Mammal Inclusion Initiative.
Slight tangent here, but Mammal Inclusion Initiative? Everybody on the force is already a mammal. In fact, everybody in the whole movie was a mammal. I think you need to be a bit more specific on what this initiative is actually including. But back to Bogo. You can throw in the police cliche of he hates the newbie for being inexperienced or pushed onto the force. Or you can go the racism sexism route of she's the only girl and bunny on the force. But none of that really works. Judy graduated top of her class working her way up. We have clear evidence of this. Both through montage and exposition, she is considered the star of the academy, even getting the highest recommendation from the mayor himself and being, in massive news reports. So the only thing Bogo would have on her in this case is that she is inexperienced in on-the-job police work. Except on day 1, Judy is tasked to be a meter maid and gets 201 tickets in a single day before noon. On day 2, Judy successfully engages in a high-speed chase going after a perp. Because the chase took place in a residential area where only small animals resided, so no other police officer in the entirety of the police force would be capable of policing the area. Unless you can picture Officer Tons of Fun here tiptoeing through the neighborhood like Mr. Stay Puffed. And seeing as how she is the only small cop in Zootopia history, it's kinda safe to assume that this area wasn't even policed before, because they had no cops of her size, and this is further proven by the fact that they have a mafia don that runs that part of the city. Oh, and because she saved the Don's daughter, she's also in tight with the mob herself and became godmother.
I'm gonna name her Judy.
But if you want to go back and try to make this a racism sexism thing, Francine here is a girl elephant on the force. And race-wise concerning prey, there are sheep cops and Bogo's a water buffalo. Prey! At least 70% of his cops would try and eat him! Even his heel face turned towards the end where he respects Judy now doesn't make any sense!
The world has always been broken. That's why we need good cops. Like you.
Oh, we need good people in the world, huh? Is that why you put Judy on parking duty despite being a decorated cadet? Is that why you gave Judy a job with limited resources, time, and staked her entire career on it, all as a justification to fire her? Is that what you do to good people in the world? Bogo's only plausible reason for disliking Judy is that he's annoyed she is the mayor's pet project.
Do you think the mayor asked what I wanted when he assigned you to me?
But sir, if you-
Life isn't some cartoon musical where you sing a little song and your insipid dreams magically come true. So let it go.
No. I don't think I will. Because Judy isn't gliding by, she earned everything. She worked hard to become a decorated cadet. This is a Disney movie after all. Most if not all the recent starring girls took charge of their situation to follow their dreams. It'd be out of Disney's wheelhouse to write Judy as a female cop who glides by in life. So we can't work with the new recruit angle because she shows she is vastly superior to everyone from her class. Can't be the pet project because she earned that position, plus again the force is nothing but mammals so the initiative doesn't work. And there are also prey officers and female officers too. Bogo's prejudice is only based on the cliche of the growth chief not liking the new recruit, which makes Bogo a badly written character. The only logic from going from heel to face is because the movie wanted to wrap up some kind of arc where apparently Bogo learns the error of his ways by having someone else complete the job he couldn't manage in 2 weeks in less than 2 days.
You did my job for me. Now we're BFFs.
I hate you with every fiber that makes up my being.
Now, I talked a lot about this movie's failings, and it just leads back to the beginning question. Could Zootopia be more racist? Is there a possible fix that could have made all this disjointed and barely fleshed out racist theming actually work? Could the racist themings actually be strong? Because currently Zootopia just creates a surface level theming that doesn't hold any persuasive point other than racism sucks. They're not wrong, by the way, racism does indeed suck. Max G, aka Odd Diggity Demon, put it best in his video on What's Wrong with Zootopia, where he said,
"The film's thinly veiled allegory of racism and prejudice went over well with audiences, but it strikes me as something they didn't think too hard about. Stories can have a moral, but when the moral gets in the way of the story itself, that's when the movie's not functional anymore. Furthermore, I don't think the film's message is going to convert any actual racists, so all the movie really succeeds in doing is preaching to the choir for 108 minutes.
Exactly, Zootopia's moral allegory fails to stand for anything other than the bare basics, and what we're left with is a story with a hollow thematic edge. How could the writers have fixed this? Well, maybe stick to the original story. As some of you may remember, when Zootopia's first teaser trailer dropped, It wasn't depicting the tale of a tiny bunny overcoming prejudice with her wise talking fox sidekick. It was Nick the Fox as the main protagonist, with Judy the Bunny acting as the comedic buddy cop antagonist. Nick even narrated the dang teaser.
A modern, civilized world that is entirely animal. That is an animal.
So not only was Nick meant to be the main character, but the entire story of Zootopia's first draft was about Nick being framed for a crime, and while on the run teams up with a cop chasing him, Judy hops, to solve the case and prove his innocence. That has way better parallels to real life racism, as it can be seen as an allegorical lens into racial profiling. Works better for Nick's character too, trying to clear his name rather than giving in and fulfilling his role as a stereotypical fox would make him a more active and dynamic character. It is really too bad that we didn't get this, because Nick's story is where Zootopia's themes of racism actually show itself. Apart from Nick being on the run, the deleted scenes depict all of Nick's struggles facing prejudice within a society that literally collars predators for subjugation. In this draft, it's established that when predators become of age, that they are given collars that will electrocute them if they misbehave.
So now all mammals can be together.
This is racism directed at a minority for a trait they have no control over. Think of real life examples of this, and you see strong parallels like how the Nazis would mark people of the Jewish faith as they did with the Star of David stitched onto their clothing. And in universe, this has become such an indoctrinated fact of their lives that children in Zootopia are taught segregation in their learning environments.
We're divided into two groups: predators with the sharp teeth and prey with the flat teeth.
I just want to point out that on average hippos kill about 500 people annually, where sharks kill about 10. How come he doesn't have a collar on? But regardless, the kids are okay with the colors. This is a society that responds to the very same fact of predators once eating prey, not with an enlightened mentality like Zootopia Prime, but with blind acceptance and ew. What I like about this is that gut feeling of being uncomfortable it gives you. That is what themes of racism should invoke. I never once felt uncomfortable watching the theatrical Zootopia. I just was given the repeat feeling of, I get it, I get it, I get it. Racism sucks. Got it. Zootopia's deleted story depicts that gut-churning racism with so much more potency, and it depicts Nick as a minority trying to fight against oppression that society has placed on him. His goal throughout the deleted movie is to create a safe haven for predators to be free from their collars. Zootopia is meant to be a paradise for all animals. The deleted version, though, shows what Zootopia should have started as: a false utopia. The illusion of equality rather than the released version, which is just a sterile Disney-fied city that barely plays with that thematic, even though they try to say it's otherwise.
When I was a kid, I thought Zootopia was this perfect place where everyone got along and anyone could be anything. Turns out, real life's a little bit more complicated than a slogan on a bumper sticker. Real life is messy.
Sure it is, Judy. Sure it is. If you want to create a Disney movie centered on the ideas of prejudice and racism, then do that by actually giving it enough teeth to stand on that theme. This preachy, paper-thin veiling does nothing but show the writing for how empty it really is. Racism is an uncomfortable subject. I understand this is a movie for a younger audience in mind for the moral, and I'm not saying that Zootopia is terrible because its theming isn't well written. The story, characters, and setting are plenty engaging enough to be a fun ride from beginning to end. I would recommend this to a lot of different people. But especially for a complex subject like racism, couldn't Zootopia have been fleshed out more? Couldn't we give enough credit to children to feel uncomfortable but also ask questions to learn from the answers a movie like Zootopia could pose? Could Zootopia be more racist to actually make a point? It certainly could have, and I think it certainly should have.
Morris!
Go.
Thanks for watching Cartoon Corner, everybody. That's my take on Zootopia's themes of racism. Do you have a different opinion? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. Cartoon Corner is being taken in a new direction content-wise, so be sure to keep up to date and support future ToonGrin vids by subscribing and hitting the notification bell, following us on social, Patreon, and our official site, ToonGrin.com. And if you'd like to stop by our store, pick up our new Racism Sucks design on sale at TeePublic. Be as obviously against racism as Zootopia is. Links are in the description below. And as always, be sure to tune in to ToonGrin.